the three beverages, the intoxicating part is always the same substance, ethyl alcohol.
You need a drink to have fun.
And welcome to the Field Alcohologist. This is the second installment of questions and answers with the Field Alcohologist. If you didn't see the first episode, which we're shooting consecutively, this is Christopher, producer,
Hello.
guy that wrote my theme music, shot the video, my son, and his good friend Trevi.
What's going on, guys?
And they're asking me questions about alcohol. And
other topics.
And other topics, other drugs too.
So the question I would like to start this episode off with would be, so the difference between a DWI and a DUI and avoiding either.
Okay, sure. A good question. So a DUI is driving under the influence, and there's something called the per se law, and basically driving under the influence is when the law enforcement officer determines that you are under the influence of some substance. It doesn't have to be alcohol.
Oh, okay.
It can be anything, and that you're impaired. So if there's a field sobriety test, you fail that, you get a DUI. The DWI comes in, that's driving while intoxicated, when you meet the legal standard for drunk driving, which is a BAC, blood alcohol content, of 0.08 or higher.
Okay. And so, you couldn't get a you couldn't get a DWI, or could a cop give you a DWI even if you aren't at a 0.08?
Okay, so as far as I know, and I'm not an attorney,
right,
or a cop, but I believe the difference between the two is just what I said. So you would actually have to either be blood tested, come out at 0.08 or higher,
right,
or take a breathalyzer test, 0.08 or higher, and that's how you end up with a DWI.
Oh, okay, all right.
And I'm not sure. It might vary state to state in terms of the per se law part of it. Mm-hmm. And I know, like in a lot of states, it's zero tolerance. If you're under 21, you're screwed. You get any alcohol, you're done.
Right.
And then every state for the standard for DWI is 0.08 in the U.S. It's a standard.
Federal.
Theoretically, states could change it.
Okay.
But they would lose federal subsidies for their highway money.
Okay.
And
funding.
so no one. So basically, no one's going to
do that. It. Right. Okay. Cool. Good to know.
I had my friend in high school. He literally said he had a sip. He probably had more than that, but he got he got pulled over, lost his license for a year, had everybody driving to the gym.
Yeah.
Did he get a DUI or anything?
I don't know the exacts, but he blew something because they took his license away.
Well, yeah, if you blow
anything,
0.01, right?
Yeah, I think you're screwed.
Yeah, no matter what. Interesting.
All right, let's see. So this one, the difference between binge drinking and then drinking in moderation, the effects.
Okay.
Short term and long term.
Sure. So binge drinking is got a very technical definition, and it is 5 or more drinks in a 2-hour period for a man, or 4 or more drinks in a 2-hour period for a woman. And the idea behind that definition is that's typically what it would take to get to a 0.08 BAC. Oh. Okay, now there is some variation. If you weighed 500 pounds, 400 pounds, 5 drinks is going to get you there. The flip of that is if you weigh 90 pounds, you're going to get there quicker.
Yeah.
So body weight has a lot to do with this. The reason there's a gender difference there is females metabolize alcohol differently. They have more body fat than men, and alcohol is fat soluble. So they get affected quicker.
Oh, wow.
And so that's binge drinking. Moderate drinking, again, there's technical kinds of definitions for it, but it's usually the equivalent of 2 drinks a day, or no more than 14 drinks over a week, and no more than 3 at a single setting.
Gotcha.
So it's just, so you could have 3 one night and 1 the next, and just it's an average.
Yeah.
Health wise, binge drinking comes with more risks. People have more problems. So it's basically, when you're intoxicated, you tend to get yourself in more trouble than if you just have two drinks.
Yeah.
There is some evidence, old study, but a couple old studies, that moderate drinking is actually has some health benefits. Interesting study done years ago where they followed a group of people in their 60s till they died, and so they had abstainers, light drinkers, moderate drinkers, and heavy drinkers. The interesting thing in that study is the abstainers died before everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the moderate drinkers lived the longest.
Oh, wow.
Because they're happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of have a kind of unique question. And it's so if you had to choose between whiskey, wine, beer, scotch, tequila, rum, blah blah blah, what would you choose if you could only have that drink for the rest of your life? What drink would it be?
And why?
Oh,
And why?
It's me personally?
Yeah, you personally, the field alcohologist himself.
Okay. Oh, that's a tough one.
I don't have an answer personally.
Yeah, I would probably say it would be red wine. I enjoy red wine
feeling.
quite a bit. Whiskey would be a close second.
Yeah.
I actually didn't drink. I drank a lot of beer when I was your guys' age. Then I didn't drink beer for a long time, and now I'm drinking it again a little bit.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I just started getting into like the India Pale Ale scene kind of, and but I still like the light beer too.
Yeah.
So it's like I think if I had to, I would choose beer.
Yep.
I never got to beer.
You just went
Trevor,
right
went, Trevor went right to bourbon for some
bourbon.
reason. What the hell?
No, but
no
the taste.
guy ever.
Only one I do like is Platinums, and then the one IPA, the Bubba
The one I had, Bubba Hash.
Bubba Hash.
Yeah.
I like that one.
Yeah, well, okay, so the problem, Bud Light Platinum tastes like water. That's probably why you like it. It doesn't taste like beer, and it's
Yeah,
like 6%
probably.
like an IPA. So I love Platties too, but I just started getting into the IPAs because they have that like a fruity taste.
It's a more complex palate.
Yeah.
And I just had this one. What was it? Belching Beaver or something?
Oh yeah, that I bought last week.
Yeah, that one was a good taster. It's called Pog Passion Fruit Orange Grapefruit.
Yep.
And
Yep.
It like literally tasted like fruit,
Mm.
but it's beer too, and you get the hoppy too. It's good. But what about you, Trev? What would you choose?
Well, now it'd be
Well,
like
yeah.
a whiskey or a bourbon.
And think about, you can age, when you age, you will still, like he's moved on to bourbon
Yeah,
and
exactly.
whiskeys as he's older. So,
It changes over time. But white wine, I like white wine.
oh, you like what?
Yeah, over red wine. Still not had red wine yet. But
The guy's at bourbon, but he's not at red wine.
yeah.
I'm going to hit red wine before I hit bourbon.
You like red wine once you get into food, like high-end food. Red wine is, and that's why I'd pick it. It complements food. And, yeah.
That's true. You have different meals that go best with
Right.
certain things.
Yeah, like Italian. Italian is really good.
Yeah, it's hard. You usually don't want to sit down and eat a meal with a whiskey.
Right.
So.
Right.
You can, but
Let's see. This. All right. So, kind of multiple questions. The reason behind hard liquor causing more of a blackout, or more likely to, than beer, and then different drinks with different sugar levels. What effect does that have?
okay. So the first one is pretty straightforward. you with hard liquor, you've got a much higher alcohol content, so it's easier to get yourself blackout drunk quicker.
Yeah.
So
If you're doing shots, right?
shots, anything really, right?
Okay.
So mixed drinks. If you're drinking, you tend to drink stiffer drinks. They go down easier. Beer's filling. Doesn't
Right.
even the new beers have a higher alcohol content, but even the the IPAs with higher ABVs, it's not gonna be the same as drinking shots of whiskey.
Right. Not even close.
yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So you can drink faster, you can drink more, not get as full. But that's why that tends to happen.
Oh, yeah.
You can still black out on beer, but it's a harder thing.
Yeah.
Right. The second one on mixers is another interesting thing, and there's actually been some research on mixers. I think I might have published 1 or 2 papers on this years ago. Red Bull and like the high caffeinated things trick your mind.
My next drink.
Basically trick your mind into not knowing you're as impaired as you are.
Okay. Gotcha.
So people end up drunker.
That's interesting.
The
I
other
didn't know
one, the other one is diet soda. And
What the hell?
and there seems to be some weird interaction with aspartame, which is the
main
sweetener.
Artificial
I see.
sweetener.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so there's people that some of my colleagues and friends do research in that area, and it's some fascinating findings that you wouldn't really think. Well, mix it with that. The sugary drinks, you'll hear they lead to hangovers, and usually what's happening there, a hangover is basically caused by dehydration. It's the main thing. Because alcohol is a diuretic, so you end up, peeing a lot or whatever, and you end up dehydrated. Right. And most people, when you're drinking, you don't think, I'm going to drink water in between.
Yeah.
But you also can have a sugar crash, right? So if you're drinking really sugary drinks with alcohol, you see this is a double whammy.
Yeah.
So, okay. I kind of have so I was wondering about, because you did a lot of research at SDSU, right?
Yep.
As, well, I guess no one knows, but I'm a student there. And just recently, a guy passed away from a frat party where I think he fell out of bed on the top bunk and hit his head on the ground, and his buddies just put him back up in his bed, but he was already passed when that happened.
Yeah.
And it was like this big thing. And I was just kind of asking an update on that type of stuff. I know COVID pushed it far back, but do you have any news on the whole fraternity thing and
Oh, at San Diego State?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they asked me to chair the task force.
Right.
That's
So you're
looking into that.
Right.
And our report will come out soon. So it's,
Right.
I probably shouldn't comment on it
Oh,
until
okay.
it's made public.
Okay.
That's cool.
I will say this, and this isn't to the SDSU case, that alcohol causes about 1,800 deaths per year on college campuses, and about over 500,000 assaults or injuries. And,
Oh, yeah.
big problems, and a lot of it's preventable. And so I think one of the most important things you can learn in college is how to handle alcohol poisoning, what the signs are, how to avoid it yourself, but what to do when you see, one of your friends, and what not to do is to throw them back into their bed.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
Or let them wander off by themselves. The whole put the backpack thing on them, and so they can't roll over and choke on their own vomit. Again, it's probably better than doing nothing, but when people get to that point, you really should be calling medical help.
Yeah, all bets are off.
What
right?
are the signs in terms of alcohol poisoning?
So usually, someone will end up kind of being blacked out, starts slurring and then stumbling, and then they go to a blackout phase, pass out.
Yeah.
And when they're passed out, if people aren't really paying attention, they'll stop breathing, or they'll choke on vomit. And so there's a lot of things that you have to kind of look for. And the problem is when everyone's drunk, someone wanders off, goes to bed.
True.
And that's that. And there's been some horrific cases. As consultant on a case back in Ohio where a guy froze to death. Got separated from his friends. So it just all kinds of weird things happen. So you really got to students need to do a better job both policing themselves, but really watching out for
each other and everything.
Each other.
Right.
Because that's really, a lot of this, well, all of it is preventable. It's all preventable. So, back in the day, everyone was worried about drunk driving. Like your generation doesn't drink and drive as much as the ones before you. But the alcohol poisoning's gone up a ton in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder why. But
And then
people just drinking more. I mean, heavy,
quick.
So yeah. Yeah. So go back to your binge drinking thing. Binge drinking rates have stayed about in the 40 to 44% range for your age group. College students. And, but remember the definition I gave you in the last episode of 5 or more drinks for a man and 2 hours, 4 or more for a woman. That is, so if you think about that, it's a yes, no question, right? Did you hit that threshold? Yes, I did. You're a binge drinker. No, I didn't. You didn't binge. But of the people that binge, what we're seeing now is it's not the 5 drinks, it's 20 drinks, it's 15 drinks.
Right.
They're getting these really high BACs that wasn't so much the case when I was a college student. So and that's kind of what's, I think, why we're seeing more of these deaths. The other piece is people are using, Oxy and, other drugs and getting themselves into real trouble.
What were kids drinking when you were in college?
Beer. Tons of beer. No, it was mostly beer and then occasionally shots. So there wasn't, and the shots were either like Jack,
God, what the hell?
or kamikazes.
The flavored.
Well, it
lemon drops and
basically
blue,
same kind of stuff. Vodka with ice cold vodka with I think Jesus, I should know what a kamikaze is.
Well,
You got
when I had
lemon or
them
lime in it.
Well, when I had them in Punta Cana, they were blue, and they tasted like pure sugar.
That's something different.
Oh, okay.
They're calling them kamikazes.
So what would be like the White Claw of today back then?
Yeah. So it's like, why is White Claw trending?
Because
like,
everything's so much sugary, more appealing now.
Yeah.
And then now this White Claw is 0, 5 calories, 0 sugar, whatever the fuck.
So we had a thing called Zima back then.
Zima?
And it was like it was similar to that. It was a malt beverage.
Oh,
And then the other thing I forgot, for women back in the day, it was Bartles and James wine coolers. So they were like these carbonated wine, bad wine carbonated.
oh,
It kind of sounds similar to White Claws. And shit.
yeah.
So guys, we got I'm out of beer, so we got time for one more.
Okay.
And we can do this again too, if it's useful.
Okay.
What do you think?
What you got?
Okay. Your best story or your something like that, yeah.
From research?
From research or something you're super passionate about.
Okay.
Research wise.
Okay. I got asked to help this senior citizens home that was low income thing in San Diego years ago. And the guy who ran it called and said, hey, my residents are really drink a lot, and I'm afraid we're having people are falling, we're having problems. Can you come and help? And yeah, sure. So we went, and I'm like, I want to do a survey and see how much people are really drinking. And so we do this survey, and I get the data and I look at it, and it's basically like, yeah, they drink at about the same rate as anyone else at their age group.
Mm.
And I was like, I go back and I was like, it doesn't, maybe you got 1 or 2 people with the problem, but it really doesn't look like you have a problem.
Yeah.
And he's like, No, man. They're not telling you the truth. And, well, and so I go into this thing about, in research, we kind of know most people are they don't necessarily lie about their use as much as they're not great at counting the exact numbers of drinks they had, but, you can get a ballpark. He's like, no, come with me. And so takes me down into the basement, shows me the recycling pile. And the recycling pile actually was 3 feet high with booze, just tons of booze bottles. And I'm like, oh God, was that from the last month? He's like, that was last week.
Yeah.
That's insane.
So I'm like, all right.
Hell.
So I kind of had to go back and figure out what the hell, how we're going to do this, because we'd kind of already done the survey. And at the time I was doing a lot of work with breathalyzers. And, you couldn't breathalyze older people. They don't have enough lung strength to blow through the thing. So I'm like, all right, we're going to set up a fake recycling program. And so we built these bins, and we bought recycling bins. We put them out. The first week there was a bunch of bottles in there. We're like, okay, cool. I'd send my grad students down to pick them up, and we started counting, one handle of Jack, one so we were figuring out the ounces of alcohol that, and then like 2 weeks into this, we go and there's no bottles or cans in there. I'm like, what the hell? And then I send my nephew, who was working for me at the time, over there, and he's like, oh, 2 guys are taking all the recycling and selling it.
So going to the Albertsons and selling them.
So we ended up, he engineered this thing that people couldn't reach down and steal the
Gotcha.
can.
Okay.
We put locks on them. And so then we started it again, and we ran it for a year. And basically we found out that people were actually drinking quite a bit more than they reported on the survey. And the other thing we found, which was really interesting, was there was a perfect relationship between when they got their Social Security check and how much they drank.
Oh.
So when they got their check, the drinking was the highest. The next week it was lower. The next week it was lower. Then they're out of money. Almost no drinking. Then goes right
Reset.
back up. Yeah.
Get their check.
So anyway, we used that. I gave that information to them, and they came up with a way, some prevention programs for people. So
Good. Yeah.
So there are a lot of research stories like that.
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
That's cool. We'll do this again. Thanks, everyone. If you
Yeah.
liked the episode,
Thank you.
hit the like button, subscribe.
Yeah.
It'd be good to do this again.
Yeah, have the young bloods on one more time.
Young Blood's on one more time.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you later. Bye.